It is Thursday, July 30th, 2026, and this is The High Road. I'm Jules Sterling, and I ensure the millions don't turn into messes.
This is Elena Rossi.
I'm Dan Miller.
And I'm Buck Reynolds. We have a great show for you today.
Yesterday, we were really tracking that low water crisis on the Rhine and the UPS strategy to shed Amazon volume. But honestly, today feels like the day the legal and operational floor finally fell out from under the old school brokerage model.
It didn't just fall, Jules. It shattered. Actually, you see, the Texas court system just sent a $600 million wake-up call to the entire industry.
Look, it's not just a wake-up call, Elena. It's a Hail Mary that actually connected for the plaintiff's bar. We're talking about a $604 million advisory verdict against C.H. Robinson. Bottom line, the brokerage world is shaking.
I mean, we've been warning about these nuclear verdicts for years, Dan. But this one?
This one hits the biggest player on the field, Buck. Elena, take us through the wreckage on this Leip versus Lupus Superior case.
Actually, the details are horrifying. It stems from a 2021 crash in Mississippi. A carrier called Lupus Superior, hauling for C.H. Robinson, plowed into stop traffic. 3 people dead, 2 injured.
Right, but the liability split is what's sort of, terrifying for my accounts. The jury found the broker 23% responsible?
23%, Jules, because they found that the driver was essentially a borrowed employee of the broker. The jury believed Robinson exercised control over the details of the mission. And here is the smoking gun. The driver apparently told both the carrier and the broker that he was too sick to drive that night.
Wait, he called the broker?
That's the report. And instead of pulling the load, it proceeded.
I mean, I've seen this 1,000 times. A driver feels like garbage, knows he's a hazard, but the dispatcher or the broker starts talking about service failures and contract penalties. You put a guy in that position, and you're just begging for a catastrophe.
But Buck, look, from a business dev perspective, the industry's lived on the independent contractor shield. This verdict basically shreds that. If a broker's safety audit isn't airtight, or if they take one call from a driver and don't act as a safety officer, they're on the hook for $500 million.
It's a complete shift in the relationship, right? I mean, I spend all day managing these contracts. If my VPs of supply chain see this, they're going to demand even tighter vetting. We aren't just matching loads anymore. We're now apparently supervising the health of 100,000 independent drivers?
Actually, Jules, that's exactly the direction it's heading. My thing is, if you have the data and you don't use it to stop a sick driver, you are negligent. Period. The Montgomery versus Caribe ruling from the Supreme Court we talked about yesterday, this is the first massive aftershock of that shield being lowered.
It's a total game changer.
It's a reality check. If you're going to take the profit from the load, you got to take the responsibility for the rig.
And while the legal side is tightening up, the actual physical capacity in the market is, well, it's doing something we haven't seen in decades. Dan, you've been watching these rates decouple from fuel, right?
Now look, it's the weirdest play I've seen in my career. Usually rates follow diesel. If diesel drops, the spot market softens. But as of yesterday, spot rates are sitting at $3.51 a mile while diesel is hitting a July low.
It's the capacity purge, isn't it?
Exactly. It's the 2-minute drill and the defense has no players left. We've seen over 8,000 carriers exit since 2024. Bottom line, the rate floor is being held up by the fact that there just aren't enough trucks to go around anymore.
Well, the thing is, it's not just trucks, Dan. It's the people. The clearinghouse numbers just hit. Over 200,000 CDL holders are in prohibited status. And the kicker? 159,000 of them haven't even started the return to duty process.
They're gone. Permanently.
They're gone, Elena. They've probably gone to work in construction, or they're just retired. Our median age is 57 now. For every 4 guys like me that hang up the keys, we're only getting 1 new kid in the seat.
Plus, that CDL identity rule that kicked in back in March, that sort of, hit the small fleets hard, right?
It's a massive hit to the 9-to-2 fleets, the guys with 10 trucks or fewer. Analysts are saying we could lose another 200,000 drivers just from the asylum seeker and DACA status changes. It's a structural cliff, not a cycle.
Which explains why Knight Swift just had such a, sort of an incredible Q2.
Huge win for KNX. Adjusted EPS hit 63 cents, totally crushed the 51-cent estimate. But the real headline, for the first time since 2023, that U.S. Express fleet they bought, it finally turned a profit.
Operational discipline.
Exactly. They right-sized the fleet and leaned into the tightening market. They're actually increasing their spot market exposure to 15% because they know the rates are heading north. They're being selective, Elena. They're rejecting freight at twice the industry average right now.
While Old Dominion is just, doing what OD does. Reporting an 86% operating ratio while everyone else is struggling to breathe. It's impressive, if I may say so.
I mean, OD is the gold standard for a reason. But let's talk about the hardware for a second. PACCAR beat expectations too. People are buying trucks. But the thing is, I think they're buying them because they're terrified of the 2027 emissions mandates.
Pre-buy frenzy?
100%, Jules. It's like the first day of free agency. Everyone's trying to lock in their roster before the rules change and the costs skyrocket.
Speaking of locking things in, have you seen what's happening on the rails? The Union Pacific and Norfolk Southern merger is back on the table with a 400-page enhanced application.
The $85 billion gamble, right? I mean, they're basically promising the moon to get the STB to say yes.
Look, they have to. The STB put them in the penalty box back in May. Now they're offering service-level protections, where if the merger causes a meltdown, shippers can actually go to a competitor.
Oh, I'd love to see that. Hey, Norfolk Southern is stuck in a yard. Let me just call Canadian Pacific to come pick up my coal. Like that's actually going to happen on the same tracks. I mean, common sense, folks.
Actually, Buck, they've already struck a deal with Canadian National for some specific gateway pricing. My thing is, if this merger creates the first true transcontinental railroad, the competition concerns are legitimate. We've seen how mergers can paralyze a network for months.
But CPKC is showing it can work. Their Q2 earnings were solid. They're the proof of concept. If UP and NS can pull this off, they control the whole chessboard.
It's about that vertically integrated power we saw with CMA CGM yesterday, right? Everyone wants to own the whole lane from the port to the porch.
Speaking of owning the lane, we've got to take a quick beat for the people who make this show possible.
You're right. Before we move on to the chaos in the Strait of Hormuz, we need to talk about the tech under our own hood.
Strategic logistics requires world-class engineering, and this show is no different. We are proudly powered by the stack developed by Eric Christensen at Neural Network Media.
Look, if you value the analysis we bring every day, you should support the architect behind the code. Visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Neural Network Media for a free trial. You'll get access to our daily briefing PDF, which, honestly, is the playbook you need to survive this market.
Support the architect, folks. Now, here's the deal. Now it's time for From the Sleeper Cab, our Thursday segment where we get away from the spreadsheets and back into the grease and the grit of the road.
Look, if your truck is on fire, it doesn't matter how many millions you've got in the bank or how fancy your AI is. International is recalling over 15,000 MV and HV units right now because a positive battery cable is rubbing through its insulation. Short to ground, instant fireball.
Actually, Buck, wasn't there a recall for this already?
Exactly, Elena. That's the problem. They tried to fix it last year with some wind laces, but an audit at the Escobedo plant showed the fix didn't hold. Now it's a full-on recall within a recall. My thing is, do not wait for the letter in September. If you're running International iron, pop the hood today. Check those interconnect cables. I don't want to see any of you on the shoulder of I-80 as a burnt-out husk.
That's, well, terrifying, Buck. But is there any good news on the equipment side?
I mean, there actually is. The 5-mile-per-hour death crawl might finally be over. Volvo and Mack just rolled out a software update. You know that dreaded deaf limp mode, where the truck shuts down to 5 miles an hour because a sensor got a whiff of bad air?
I've heard the horror stories. It's a total safety hazard.
It's a death trap, Dan. Limping at 5 miles an hour on a 70-mile-per-hour highway? But the new EPA guidance is allowing them to bump that limp speed to 25 miles an hour. And the repair window? They blew it open from 4 hours to 160 hours.
That's sort of a massive relief for scheduling, right?
It's a lifesaver, Jules. If you're in a 2024 VNL or an Anthem, look for that Update Available ping. Do not ignore it. This is one piece of silicon driver tech I can actually get behind because it keeps us moving.
From the sleeper cab, that's a wrap for this Thursday.
Moving from hardware to software, the predictive audit era is officially here. Intelligent Audit just won an award for their Deep Detect AI.
Freight auditing used to be so back office, right? Now it's a frontline defense.
Actually, Jules, with insurance costs for the top carriers up 54% over the last 4 years, every penny counts. This AI isn't just checking rates, it's looking for small signals of fraud or systemic delays. It's machine-to-machine decisioning. We're also seeing Terminal raise $20 million to unify telematics data.
Look, that's the missing piece. Every fleet has 10 different GPS and ELD systems that don't talk to each other. If Terminal can bridge that gap, you finally get a single pane of glass for the whole operation.
It's necessary because the duopoly in last mile is dying. Did you see the latest parcel numbers? Amazon is now officially the largest domestic carrier, 6.7 billion parcels.
And USPS and USPS are both down 8%. The stopwatch metric is the killer, Jules. Consumers now expect free shipping in 2.6 days. 2.6!
I can barely get through a lunch break in 2.6 days.
Well, regional carriers like VHO and Better Trucks are growing double digits because they can hit those windows. But the big and bulky last mile, that's in trouble. The housing market is at a 30-year low for turnover, so nobody's buying new couches or refrigerators.
Total shutout for the bulky guys. If you're hauling furniture right now, you better pivot to white glove services, or you're going to be out of the game by Christmas.
We need to pivot too, because the geopolitical friction just hit an all-time high. Dan, Section 338.
Look, this is a 100-year-old ghost coming back to haunt us. The administration just invoked Section 338 of the Tariff Act of 1930. 50% ad valorem duties on Canadian motor vehicles and dairy starting August 19th.
Wait, regardless of the USMCA status?
Regardless of the free trade agreement, Jules, it's a $20 billion hit. The rules era is officially dead, and the discretion era is here. If you're a logistics manager with Canadian exposure, your landed costs just went through the roof.
And then there's the Strait of Hormuz. A double blockade last week pushed oil past $100 a barrel. It's dropped back to $82 now after a ceasefire. But shipping activity in the Gulf contracted by 24%.
And that's why the opening of the Gordie Howe Bridge in Detroit this week is such a big deal. First new road link to Canada in 60 years. But I'll tell you, the thing is, CBP is using it as a lab. They're scanning 70% of every truck that goes over that bridge now with non-intrusive inspection tech.
Privacy concerns or safety win?
Safety, Jules. Operation Safe Driver Week just ended, and the focus was on reckless driving. We lost 36,000 people on the roads last year. Between the bridge tech and the new dashcam mandate in British Columbia, the net is tightening.
Let's bring it home with the biggest macro story, the control pivot.
This is the one we really need to sit with, right? The shift from asset light to asset heavy.
Look, the just-in-time model is officially in the locker room. Everyone's moving to a just-in-case asset-heavy strategy. Daimler Truck North America just announced they're moving manufacturing out of Portland after 80 years and heading to the Carolinas.
That's a massive cultural hit to Portland.
It is, but it puts them right in the heart of the Southeast Freight Corridor. Toyota's doing the same thing, moving Tacoma production from Mexico to San Antonio. $3.6 billion pivot.
It's reshoring. Actually, it's sovereign logistics. Companies want total control over their supply chain, so a border closure or a blockade in the Middle East doesn't kill their Q4.
And it's reflecting in the labor models, too. More carriers are moving to ESOPs, employee stock ownership plans, to keep drivers. If you own a piece of the truck, you don't jump ship for a 2-cent raise. It all points to a more stable but more expensive industry.
Higher costs, but higher reliability. That's the chess game for 2027. You pay to stay in the game.
Or you pop the hood and make sure your cables aren't rubbing. I mean, the fundamentals never change, folks.
That's all for today's High Road. From nuclear legal verdicts to the reshoring of American manufacturing, the industry is rebuilding itself in real time. Stay safe out there and keep the relationships as strong as the rigs. Goodbye.
See you then.
Peace out.
And remember, if the rates are up, it's probably because someone's truck is on fire.